Now that the categories are created for this website, it's time to create some articles. Each article may be assigned only one category. That is why you have to create the categories first. Otherwise, you'd assign all of your articles to the uncategorized category. Remember the CAM, categories, articles, menus. So we first created all of the categories, and now we can create all of the articles to be assigned to any of those given categories. So to start off with, we need to create articles. Here in the control panel, we can get to the article manager either through this icon here for the article manager, or we can go to Content, Article Manager, Add New Article. Here in the article manager screen for creating a new article, we are ready to go ahead and put in that information right away. And if you take a look in your exercise files, I've given you a text document here which has information for 3 articles actually, starting with the About Us article. There's a volunteer article a little further down, and then down at the bottom there's an article about our director. And we're going to go ahead and put all 3 of these into the website. So go ahead and start by highlighting the words About Us, and then Control or Command C on your keyboard. Click on the title blank here on the screen, Control or Command V to paste in About Us. The category for this article will be the About category. And everything else you can leave the same. Scroll on down the screen a little bit and you'll see the box here where you put in the article text. This is the editor within Joomla. And you can see that there's a few buttons here for doing some formatting. What we're going to do is now take the rest of this article from Celebrating the Best of Modern Art and highlight all the way down through Modern Art Around the World. Control or Command C to copy. Click inside of the editor box and Control or Command V to paste in the text. And that's all there is to creating a basic article here in Joomla. All we need to do now is hit the Save and New button. And we'll get another blank screen here where we can enter some more information. So I'm going to repeat this process here for volunteer. Once again, Control or Command C, Control or Command V. Assign this to the About category, and then highlight the rest of the article. Control or Command C, Control or Command V. And one more time for the Our Director article, same exact process. Copy the words Our Director as the title and paste them in place. Assign this to the About category. Scroll on down, copy the article, and paste that on into the editor. I'm using Notepad here on the PC, which is the default text editor that comes with a PC. If you're on a Mac, you use something called TextEdit that does exactly the same thing. There's no real formatting to these articles. They're just plain text. You may be wondering if you can copy and paste out of Microsoft Word, which you can certainly do, but you may run into an issue where you copy out of Microsoft Word, and when you paste into your Joomla website, you'll wind up with all of this funky Microsoft Word formatting. That can be addressed with some additional buttons inside of TinyMCE if you configure TinyMCE to have those buttons show up. It can also be addressed by JCE, the Joomla Content Editor, which I will cover in great detail in a couple of chapters. And at that point in time, I'll show you the Microsoft Word button that's there for pasting from Microsoft Word. Meanwhile, we're just going to work with things from the text format here, and we'll add formatting after the fact. All right, so we're done with this text document. Go ahead and hit the Save and Close button, and you should be returned to the Article Manager, and you'll see that we have 3 articles here for us. The About Us, the Our Director, and the Volunteer article. You'll see in this column that they're all published because there's a green check mark here under Status. They've all been assigned to the About category. And if you go on the front end of the website and you hit Refresh, you'll see absolutely nothing. We've put these articles into the website, but they haven't been linked up to the menu yet, which means that they're not going to show on the front end of the website. So just because you've put this content in as articles doesn't necessarily mean it's going to show on the front end of the website. I'll be getting to how to hook all of these things up to the menu in the next chapter. But for right now, we have some other things to cover as pertaining to articles, including putting some images into articles. We've gone ahead and created our first articles in Joomla, but they weren't terribly interesting in terms of their formatting. We just copied down a text file and we pasted it right into Joomla. And while it's very readable, it's just not terribly interesting looking. So let's take a look at those articles that we just put in and add a little bit of formatting to them. So I'm going to go to my article manager and click on the icon here on the control panel. And here's all of the articles that I have just created. I'm going to go to the About Us article, click on the link, and I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. And you'll see that we actually have some subheadings here within this article, including Celebrating the Best of Modern Art and an Introduction. One of the things that you probably would like to do with this is to make those subheadings stand out. The way that people normally think about approaching this is to highlight those words and hit the B button to make them bold. A better way to do this on a web page is to use the heading tags, which will add pre-designed styles that will give great formatting to this article. What's more, search engines like to see words inside of heading tags, which will help increase your search engine rankings for this website. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and highlight the words Celebrating the Best of Modern Art. And then here in this drop-down where it says Paragraph, I'm going to switch this to say Heading 2. And notice that not only the words Celebrating the Best of Modern Art, but the words underneath, starting with Samoka, got a little bit larger. That's likely because since we copied and pasted from a text file, these are only separated by break tags inside of your HTML rather than actual paragraph tags. So to get rid of this problem, I'm just going to delete the space here between these headings and then hit return so that I actually get a paragraph tag. And then within this paragraph, I just need to click anywhere inside of it and I can switch this back to a paragraph. So now we have our heading that's a little bit big and our paragraph that's a bit smaller. It's likely we'll encounter the same thing here with an introduction. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same treatment. We'll take our an introduction and we'll make it set to a heading 2. It looks like an introduction is also attached to the paragraph above it, which would make sense. So I'll go ahead and delete those spaces as well, and once again reset this to a paragraph. So now you see we have a full article here with 2 headings that I've gone ahead and put in place, and we have paragraphs underneath of that. Those of you who are HTML geeks like me, you love HTML and you love all those tags, you can in fact get to the HTML here. There's 2 ways of doing it. One is you can click this HTML button right here inside of TinyMCE, and you can see the code that makes up this particular page. Note, for example, in between 2 paragraphs here, I actually have 2 break tags. That's what I was talking about, as opposed to 2 actual paragraph tags, which I could fix here in the HTML, or I could fix inside of the editor. You can also get there by clicking this Toggle Editor button, and that will go ahead and put the text directly in here. What's the difference between Toggle Editor and this HTML button? Well, Joomla does a certain amount of filtering of HTML tags, and TinyMCE does a certain amount of filtering of HTML tags. The point of filtering HTML tags is to try to keep your site safe so that somebody can't get into your website, fill up an article with a bunch of hackerish sort of PHP and JavaScript and all kinds of crazy things, and then wind up blowing up your whole website. So some amount of text filtering has been applied to this to make sure that none of those bad tags get into place. If you use the HTML button here inside of TinyMCE, the text and tag filtering for TinyMCE will be applied. If you use this Toggle Editor button down here on the bottom, you're actually temporarily removing TinyMCE from the equation, and only Joomla's text filtering will be applied in place. I'm going to go through text filtering in great detail in a couple of videos and show you how we can adjust that to various user groups so that you can include things in your articles like YouTube videos and Facebook feeds and Twitter things and so forth. But for now, we'll just go ahead and leave things as they are. As you might expect, the other buttons on this page work accordingly. If you highlight a word and you hit the big B button, you'll wind up making it bold. If you highlight something else, art museum, for example, and hit the italic button, you'll wind up making things italic. So these buttons are very Microsoft Word-like in their functionality. You, of course, can also highlight these words and hit the button again to turn them off. There's also buttons here for setting up bullet lists or numbered lists. That's, of course, the UL and the OL tags in HTML. You can, of course, include some links here, superscripts and subscripts. The omega character here is actually inserting a special character like a registered trademark character, that kind of thing. But we are actually very limited in the number of tools that we have up here on the top. You might be curious to know that there are ways that we can add some additional buttons to this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Go ahead and click Save and Close. And if you go to Extensions, Plugin Manager, you will find the TinyMCE plugin listed here. It's a about halfway down the page here in the first page of plugins. Go ahead and click on that. And inside of the screen, this is where you can configure some of the features with TinyMCE. Right now, our functionality is set to advanced. And we have actually 3 choices. Simple will even strip down the buttons even further and give you almost no choices in terms of buttons. But extended will add significantly to the number of buttons that you have. So if you go ahead and switch this to extended and hit save and close, and then we're going to go back to our article manager, and I'm going to click on the About Us article again. You'll see that now we have many, many more buttons up here on the top for TinyMCE. In fact, we may have too many buttons at this point, because this many buttons can really confuse your client. It also gives them a lot of flexibility for adding formatting to these articles. For example, let's say we want Samoka to be Comic Sans, everybody's favorite font. See how I just did that? And of course, if you take a look at the editor, you'll see that it's put in a span tag here with a font family of Comic Sans. So you probably don't really want that happening. So you might want to limit some of these buttons. You want to give your client a few more buttons, but maybe you don't want to give them all of these buttons. The notable one that's really great to give them is the Paste from Word button here. If I was copying and pasting from Microsoft Word, I would copy from my Word document and then click this button. Paste from Word directly into this window, and that would allow for that code cleanup such that all of that funky word formatting that sometimes comes over would be taken care of by TinyMCE. I'm going to hit cancel because I don't really want to save that Comic Sans font into that article. I'm going to go back to the plugin manager, and I'm going to go back to the TinyMCE plugin, and I'm going to show you one additional screen here. Under your advanced parameters, you do have the option of turning on and off some of the features here in TinyMCE, such as the fonts, for example, is a really great one to hide. So if I set the fonts to hide, for example, and then hit my save and close button, when I go back to my article manager and I go back to my About Us article, I can no longer change my font to Comic Sans or change the size of it. It's all now under control of the style sheet. As a Joomla designer or a Joomla developer, that's probably really what you want in the end anyway. And you could continue that process to go through all of these buttons. Having said all of this about TinyMCE now, the default editor that comes with Joomla, there is a much better editor that's available called JCE, the Joomla Content Editor. And in another couple of chapters, I will go through JCE in great detail. And it too has the ability for customizing these buttons and giving your client a significantly improved interface with great usability. I'm very enthusiastic about it, and I install it on all of the sites that I build. So I would encourage you to play around a little bit here with TinyMCE and see what's possible. But don't get too excited about all of the features and functionality that are here yet, because there's something coming better in the next few videos. It's very easy to add links to your Joomla articles, which can take people to other websites or to take people to articles within your Joomla website. So I'd like to show you how to add an external link to an article here inside of Joomla. An external link is one that would link out to another website. For the internal links, I'm going to wait until we have JCE installed because it has a great interface for making quick and easy internal links that's really not present in TinyMCE. So I'm going to start by getting to my articles via the Article Manager button right here on the control panel. And I'm going to go into the About Us article one more time. And here inside of the About Us article, I am going to make a link to the word Ventura. So here we are in the heart of Ventura. And I'd like this word Ventura to link to a website, which I'll open up in a new tab here. And I'm going to go to www.cityofventura.net. And this is the website that talks about the city of Ventura and all of the wonderful things that you can do here, including the Ventura Music Week happening right now. So if you go ahead and highlight the cityofventura.net and you Control or Command C to copy that URL, I'm going to jump back into the back end of Joomla, highlight that word Ventura, and I'm going to click on the link icon. If you've customized TinyMCE as I have to be in its extended mode, which I just did in the previous video, you'll see lots of buttons like this. If you skip the previous video and you have a more stripped down look, you'll see a lot fewer buttons, but in either case, you'll see an icon that looks like this, which is the Insert and Edit Link button. And if you go ahead and click that, you'll get a window that comes up and will allow you to put in website URL. So I'm going to Control or Command V to paste in that link URL. If you're not using Firefox, make sure that URL starts with http://. Anytime you link to an external website, your link has to start with that. If it doesn't, then it just starts with the www part of the link, then what will happen is that your website, and that's whether it's a Joomla site, a Drupal site, a WordPress site, or a static HTML website, or anything else, it will think that www.cityofventura.net is a page within your current website. So make sure it starts with that http://. And then you can pick a target for that particular link. And what a target is whether that link is going to open in a new window or whether it's going to open in the same window. So by default, all of the links are set to open in the same window. You can change that with this drop-down menu here to open in a new window. The last two items have to do with frames, and I'm not going to talk about frames in this course, so you can safely ignore those too. Personally, I like to have my external links open in a new window. You may prefer not to have them open in a new window. The key thing is, in order to maintain the usability of your website, is make a decision about how you want to treat your external links. Either they all open in new windows or they all open in the same window. And just pick one and use it consistently for your website and you'll be in good shape. Go ahead and click the Insert button once it's there. You'll see that the word Ventura turns blue, which indicates that this is now a link. We can't click on it though or open a new web page because we're here inside of an editing window. We'll have to wait until we get this article actually linked to a menu in order to test that link and make sure it's working correctly. And I strongly recommend anytime you add links here to test them all and make sure they're looking correctly. It's just too easy to make a mistake when you're putting links into your website. So all we need to do now is hit Save and Close. And we have successfully added an external link to our About Us article. Adding images in Joomla is a relatively straightforward process. First of all, however, you have to have an image. Make sure that whatever image you choose is in the correct dimensions for your website and where it's supposed to fit on your website, and save the picture down in a small file size for the web. If you don't know how to do this, there are several titles at lynda.com that can show you how to create pictures in an optimal format for use on a website. To add a picture to your article, we're going to start by going to the article manager as we've done many times before. I'm just going to click on the icon right here on the control panel, and I'm going to open up the About Us article. I have some pictures that I'd like to add. One here for the About Us article, and I have one for the volunteer article. And that picture is going to go right here, just above all of the text that's on the page. So I'm going to put in a blank line here and make sure that it's a paragraph and not a heading 2. And I'm going to put the image right here as part of this particular article. So to do that, I'm going to start by clicking on my image button down here, just underneath the editor. And this is going to bring up my media manager in this shadow box type of window here. And if you notice down here on the bottom, I have the ability to upload files here into the media manager. So I'm going to click my Browse Files button. And I'm going to go back to chapter 4. And this is video number 4. And I actually have 2 pictures here. I can upload them both at once. If I hold down my Shift key and click on each image, I can then say Open. And you'll see that these show up as 2 pictures to upload here as part of the Flash uploader. And in a previous video where I talked about the Media Manager, we turned on the Flash uploader. If you have a box at the bottom of your screen that just has the button that says Browse for a single image file and then Upload, that is the default interface for Joomla. You can turn on the Flash Uploader interface by going into the Media Manager and selecting the Flash Uploader interface from the options that are available within the Media Manager. You can go back to Chapter 2 and see exactly how I did that, or you can upload your images one at a time into the Media Manager. Whatever works best for you is fine. But since I have the Flash Uploader turned on, I'm going to upload both of these images at the same time by clicking the Start Upload button. And you'll see that the 2 images have showed up here in the Media Manager. So the one I'd like to put in for the About Us page is the samokabuilding.jpg image. So all I need to do is click on that and it will write out the correct image URL for me right here on the screen. I can pick an alignment for this image. My choices are to the left or to the right, and that will push the image to the left or the right side of the page and wrap text around it. However, in the case of this particular article, I'd like that picture to show up at the top of the page, and I don't want to wrap text around it. So I'm going to leave my alignment to not set. I can give this image a description. If you know HTML, this is the alt tag. In other words, this is the alternate text that will show up if somebody is not able to see images on their website. It's also the text that search engines will read as they read your web page for the website. So alt text is a great place to put in some additional keywords for your website. I'm going to go ahead and put in the Samoka building. And one of the things I like to do is at the end of my alt text, I put in a period and a space. And the reason why I do that is one of the big users of these alt tags are people with various types of disabilities who may be using a screen reader. And if you take your alt text and you put a period and a space at the end of it, it reads more like a sentence if somebody happens to be looking at your website with a screen reader. It's only 2 extra characters. It's such a simple thing to do. You might as well go ahead and do it. It will help people who have disabilities. Go on ahead then and click the Insert button on the top of the page. And you'll see that we have this nice big picture of the museum at the top, followed by all of the text at the bottom. We won't actually be able to see how this picture looks on the page yet because we still have not connected this article to our menu. We have just a few more videos to go before we get to that step, but the picture is in the article at this point in time. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click Save and Close. And now I'm going to repeat this process one more time for the volunteer article. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And the volunteer article opens up. Once again, I'm going to put this picture right at the very top of the page. So I'm going to click Return to give me space up here on the top. Click my image button down here on the bottom of the screen again. And I'm going to click on the volunteer picture here and put in for my alt text, you could volunteer at Samoka. And I'm just going to click the Insert button. And that will put this volunteer picture here at the top of the screen. Now all you need to do is click the Save and Close button. And we've put 2 images into our articles. We've uploaded those pictures to the Media Manager, and that is the very easy and very straightforward way of getting images into your articles inside of Joomla. For our next task, we're going to create the articles that will ultimately go on a news page for this website. What I'd like to have is a series of articles on a page that will show a little bit of introductory text followed by a Read More style link. When you click on the Read More link, that'll take you to the full page of information about that particular article. This kind of format is called a blog. Think of blog in terms of functionality, as opposed to somebody who writes about a subject of interest every day on a website. In order to get started creating this news portion of the website, the best way to do that is to start by creating our news articles, and then I'll show you how to put in the Read More links. So to do that, I'm going to start by clicking on my article manager once again, and then I'm going to click on the New button up here in the upper right. In your exercise files, there's a document which will show you all of the articles that we're going to put in for news. There's 3 of them. Something about the new cafe menu, a major donation received, and new children's artworks program is announced. So I'm going to start with the new cafe menu. Just as we've done before, I'm going to highlight the words new cafe menu, Control or Command C to copy that, Control or Command V to paste it in place. As for the category, this is going to be inside of news and events, but these are specifically news articles. So I'm going to categorize them under specifically the news category. And then down here in the article text area, I'm going to go ahead and highlight all of the information here for the new cafe menu. Control or Command C to copy, Control or Command V to paste it in place. So far, I haven't done anything different that you haven't seen before in terms of creating a new article for the website. Now what I need to do is specify exactly where that Read More break is going to occur. And where I'd like that to happen is between the first and the second paragraphs. In other words, right between this very first sentence of the page and the second sentence that starts the new menu features. So I'm going to click right before I want that Read More link to occur. I'm clicking at the very end of the first sentence. And then I'm going to click on the button down here in the bottom that says Read More. And what you'll see appear on the page is this red dotted line. That red dotted line is not actually there on the page. When you actually view this from the front end in Joomla, you won't see a red line. This is simply a guideline that's in place that shows you where that read more break is going to occur. Think about Dreamweaver if you happen to be familiar with that. Sometimes Dreamweaver will show you these types of marks within the editing interface that aren't actually there, but they're very helpful as you put together a web page. You'll notice that Joomla put in a little bit of an extra space here, which I don't really want, so I'm going to click my delete key a couple of times to get rid of that. And that's all there is to it in terms of putting in that read more link here. And when we put this on the front end of the website and we create the news blog, you'll see that this will divide our articles into pieces, which will show you the little bit of text. In this case, Samoka proudly announces a fresh, updated cafe menu. It's now available to museum visitors. That will show up on the top part of the page, and then there'll be a read more button underneath, which you can click, and that will then show you the entire article on the following page. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save and New. And I'm going to enter my other two articles here offline. So for the major donation received article, once again, I'll put in that read more break between the first and the second paragraph. And for the new children's artworks program announced, again, I'll put the read more break between the first and the second paragraph. You go ahead and do that offline too, and I'll see you at the next video. As we've been working away here in Joomla and creating all of these articles, nothing has actually showed up on the front end of our website. We've been slaving away over this website, working away all day long, putting in tons of time and effort into this website, and we still have nothing to show for it. The reason why is that we haven't created any of the menu items that will cause any of the articles that we've entered into the system to show up on the front end of the website. I will be covering how to do that in the next chapter, and then it'll look like we do a lot of work really fast. But in the meantime, there is a way, and only one way, to get articles that are inside of Joomla to show up on the website without making a menu link. And that is by making them featured articles, which will allow them to appear on the home page of the website. Previously, these homepage articles were called front page articles, but I found that a lot of people got that term front page confused with Microsoft front page, and then they started to wonder why Microsoft front page was inside of Joomla. And they were right to be upset about that, by the way. Fortunately, Joomla has renamed this to the featured articles, which I believe is a little bit more user-friendly, and featured articles then show up on the featured page or the home page of the website. So in this next video, I'm going to put in all of the content for my exhibits portion of the website, and I'm going to have a couple of those articles become featured articles that will appear on the home page, and I'm going to walk you through how to do that. Because all of these articles pertain to exhibits, they all have images associated with them. So the first thing I'd like to do in the back end of Joomla is upload all of my images to the Media Manager. I could do that through the interface that we've used before inside of the individual article, or I could just go to the Media Manager and do this directly. So just to add a little variety to the process, I'm going to start by going to the Media Manager. The icon's here on my control panel, or you can go to Content Media Manager. And down here at the bottom of the screen, I've configured this to use the Flash Uploader so I can upload lots of pictures at once. I'm going to click my Browse Files button. We're going to go to video number 6 here. And you can see that there are many images that are available here. So I'm going to hold down my Control key, and I'm going to click on each of these individually so that I can select all of the images at once and say Open. And you'll see all of my images queue up here underneath. These are all of the images I'm going to upload at the same time. And then I'm going to click on the Start Upload button. And you'll see, boom, 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 all my images upload very quickly right here into the Media Manager. Now I won't have to upload them individually as I go through the rest of the website on an article-by-article basis. I've just uploaded them all at once, and they're available. So now that my images are here, I'm going to go to Content, Article Manager, Add New Article. Inside of your exercise files, there is a text file that has 4 articles we're going to add to this website. There's a current exhibits article, which is very short. Then we have the 2 articles that will wind up on the front page of our website, as well as on the exhibits page of the website. This includes the article here about the current exhibit and the upcoming exhibit. And then finally, we have a longer article here called Permanent Collections. And I'll show you how to put all of those in place. So we'll start with the current exhibit article. I'll go ahead and Control or Command C, having highlighted the text, paste this into my Joomla article, and I'll set the category for this to the visiting exhibits. Then once again, I'm going to highlight the text for the article, Control or Command C, Control or Command V to paste it in place. And I'm going to click in between the first and second paragraph and click my Read More button. Now I've been clicking between the first and second paragraph for all of these articles, which really has more to do with consistency, and it seems like an obvious place to click and put in a Read More. You can put in a Read More anywhere within your article, including if you wanted to put it here after Samoka presents a collection of paintings, and you wanted to put that Read More right here, you could click right there and put the Read More in place, and Joomla would be just fine with that. Now I need to add an image to this article, and the image is going to go at the top of the page again. So I'm going to hit return just like that and put the image in. So I'm going to click my image button, and you'll see here I have an image that says Exhibits-Westhoff. Go ahead and click on that, and we can give this an image description. Westhoff's work at Samoka. And I'll go ahead and click my insert button. So you see that we have an image here on the top of this article. Now, so far what I've done is no different than any of the other training videos you've seen to this point. How do I then get this on the home page? Well, right here, there is an item here called Featured, and you can assign this to the Featured blog layout. So Featured, I can change from no to yes. And by doing that, and then I'm going to hit Save and Close, you'll see here in my article manager that the featured article is now starred inside of the featured column, indicating that this is a featured article. If I click on the star again, you'll see, as the tooltip says, this will toggle the article from featured to unfeatured. And so now if I go to the front end of the website and I click my refresh button, you'll see that we have our article showing up here on the front page of the website, the home page. I hear you graphic designers out there. You're screaming and hollering about how ugly this page is. And I know it says home at the top, and I know that there's all this nonsense here about category and hits and written by super user, and you want it to all go away right now. I know, because I feel your pain. But this is Joomla's default configuration, and I am going to show you how to get rid of all of that stuff in later videos. But for right now, please just live with it for the moment, and all will come around right in the end. We will make a prettier site. If you click on the Read More link here from the home page, you'll see that this takes you to the full version of the article with all of the text on the page. All right, so I'm going to hit the back button to go back to my home page. So now that that article is in place, let's put in the second article for the home page. I'm going to go ahead and click the New button. And I'm going to go to the Paul Shelmont birdwatching article, highlight the text, Control or Command C to copy, Control or Command V to paste. We'll assign this once again to the Visiting Exhibits category. We'll set our featured to yes, because we do want this on the home page as well. Then I'm going to go ahead and put in my image, which is the Exhibits-Shelmont, picture of birds there. And we'll say Paul Shelmont at Samoka for our alt tag, and say insert. At the end of the picture, then I'm going to go to my text article here, and I'm going to highlight all of the text that pertains to this article, Control or Command C to copy, Control or Command V to paste. I'm going to click in between my first and second paragraph and put in my Read More. I'm going to take the words here, A Balloon for Marcel, and make them italic, because that is the title of a Oscar-winning short. And so this article is now in place. You see that we have 2 paragraphs of information, a Read More link, we have an image. So I'm going to go ahead once again and hit Save and Close. And when I refresh the front end of the website, you'll see that we have our Paul Shelmont article here, and then underneath we have our current exhibit article here. And yes, you are absolutely right. The current exhibit article is kind of smushed up and skinny, and the upcoming exhibit article is kind of broad and goes all the way across the page, and you want the current exhibit listed before the upcoming exhibit. Gotcha. We're going to cover all of that in some later videos. But for right now, just be okay with what's here. We're getting there. Okay, so now we've got those 2 items in place, and we have 2 more articles to put in. We have our current exhibits article, which I'm going to do next. I'm going to click the New button. And I'm going to go on ahead and highlight the title, Current Exhibits. Control or Command C to copy, Control or Command V to paste. This one I'm going to put directly into the collections category. Here we go. And I'm going to highlight this little bit of text right here for the article. And I'm going to just paste that in place. No read mores. And I'm not going to make this a featured article either. I'm just simply going to put it in place just like it is, just like this. Going to go ahead and hit save and close. And I'm going to put in my last article by clicking on my new button. And under permanent collections, I'm going to go ahead and highlight the word permanent collections. Controller Command C to copy, Controller Command V to paste. I'm going to put this in the permanent collections category. Not going to make it featured. And I'm going to highlight all the text that you see here, which it's kind of long. Controller Command C to copy, Controller Command V to paste. And this one's going to take just a little bit of formatting. We start off with this introductory paragraph here about Samoka. Then I'm going to have a subhead here for paintings. I'm going to set that to an H2. I'm going to have a subhead here for photography. I'm getting rid of the break tags as you're watching me here and turning these into paragraph tags using backspacing and returns. And then last here, I'm going to get rid of those breaks and set sculpture as an H2 as well. All right, so this will go ahead and be a summary of all of the permanent collections at the museums in terms of painting, photography, and sculpture. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save and close. And at this point, we now have all of our information about these particular articles here into the system. But I've neglected to put in the pictures. So let me go back and go ahead and add those pictures to these particular articles. Under current exhibits, I am going to put in the current exhibits picture right here at the top of the article. And that'll be this exhibit's current image. Current exhibits at Samoka will be my alt text. Go ahead and say insert. And save and close that one. And then we have several images actually for this permanent collections article. Go ahead and click on that. After paintings, we'll put in a return here and click our image button. And there is an image here called paintings. Paintings in Samoka's permanent collection. Insert that picture. That picture wound up going in the wrong spot. I'm clicking on it to highlight, and then I'm going to Control or Command X to get rid of it. And I'm going to click down here where I really want it to go and Control or Command V to paste it in place. Let's see if that worked this time. There we go. Then after photography, once again, I'm going to put my cursor right here. I have an image here in the Media Manager called Photography. And we'll say Photography in Samoka's permanent collection. Insert that picture. And it looks like there's something a little bit buggy going on here because it keeps putting the pictures at the top of the article. So once again, Control or Command X to get rid of that picture in that place. Scrolling down a little bit, Control or Command V to put the photography picture in the right spot. And then once again with sculpture, click on the image button, find the image called Sculpture. Sculpture in Samoka's permanent collection. And we'll insert that. And once again, it puts it at the top of the article. Control or Command X. Scroll back on down to where it should be. Control or Command V to paste it in place. So we now have an article that has 3 images in it. We have a little bit of introductory text. Then we have a subhead of paintings, followed by an image, followed by some text. A subhead of photography, an image, followed by some text. And a subhead of sculpture, followed by an image, followed by some text. Okay. Go ahead and hit save and close. And now we've entered the 4 articles here for the exhibits part of the website. They're all in place. They all have images. There are 2 with read mores that are showing up on the home page. Ultimately, all 4 of these articles will show up on the exhibits page of the website, and we will see how to configure that, make that happen in the menus chapter. If you're done with a particular article and you don't need it anymore, you can delete it entirely. Your other option is to unpublish an article. Unpublishing an article means that you've left the article in the database where you could retrieve it again if somebody changes their mind, but it's not available for viewing on the website. Deleting an article means that you've removed the article from the database entirely once you've permanently deleted it from the trash. So when you tell an article to be deleted, it first goes to the trash, and that's where it's going to live until you empty the trash and delete it permanently. Trash doesn't quite work like it does on your Windows or Mac computer. So I wanted to show you how to delete articles. So we're going to go into the article manager, and I'm going to create an article specifically to delete it. So I'm going to hit my new button, and I'm going to call this article Trash Me. And I'm just going to leave it in the uncategorized category because I don't care, because I'm going to delete it. Down here in the text, you have to have a little bit of text or Joomla won't save your article. This is a test article to demonstrate publishing, unpublishing, and deleting. And then I'm going to hit save and close. And you'll see here in my article manager that I have my article right here called Trash Me. What I can do right now in this particular article is it's available to see on the website because it's published. How do I know this is a published article? Right here in this column, there's a green check mark. If I roll my mouse over it, it says this is a published and current article. It tells me the date that I published this particular article. Even if I don't make a link directly to this article because I have it on a menu somewhere on the website, if I have search enabled on my website, it's possible that this particular article can still show up in my search results. Or somebody may have a URL that will take them to this article. So anytime anything is published here, you do run the possibility that it could be seen somewhere on your website. If you want to be sure that that article cannot be seen on your website, your choices are to unpublish it or delete it. To unpublish it, simply click the green check mark once, and you'll see that it turns into a little red blob, indicating that the article still exists, but it is currently unpublished, meaning that it won't show up in search results. Even if you have it linked up to a menu, the article will not display on the front end of your website, but it is still present inside of your Joomla website. And why that might be good, perhaps this is an article that you pull out every June, for example. You pull it out on June 1st, you put it up on the website for a month, and then you pull it off the website on July the 1st, and you just would like to keep it in your system in case you'd like to pull it up and put it out there again next year. Or you have a boss who might change their mind frequently, and you know that if you delete this particular article, in 2 days, your boss might come back to you and ask for you to put that article back up again, and you want to be sure that you have it so that it's easy to put it back up on the website. So there are great reasons to unpublish an article. If you want to delete it entirely, it doesn't matter if it's currently in the published or the unpublished state. Simply put a check mark next to the name of that article, and then go up to the top of the page, and where it says trash, go ahead and click the trash button. And you'll see that that particular article has gone to the trash. You don't see it in the list anymore. Is that article actually gone? Well, no, not really. If I make a new article that I call Trash Me, and another Trash Me article, and if I hit my save button here on the top of the page, I'm actually going to get an error. And the error is going to say, saved with the following error, another article from this category has the same alias. That is because I've called this by the same title, Trash Me. That was the same as the article that I just trashed. And when Joomla creates its alias, it created it exactly the same way. Joomla thinks that because that Trash Me article is sitting in the trash, it doesn't want to create a second article with the same alias. You have to delete the article entirely and completely remove it from the database before you can have an alias that's exactly the same as before. So I'm going to hit my cancel button here. I don't really want to make another Trash Me article. Let me show you the trash. You would think you could just click on the trash button here on the top and see the trash, but in fact that doesn't work. What you have to do is use these drop downs here on the top of the screen. And the one over here that says select status, switch this to the status of trashed. And this will show you all of the items that are here in the trash. There's the Trash Me article. To really truly get rid of this article, put a check mark next to it, and then go to the empty trash button here in the upper right. Now you'll see that there are no articles here in the trash. In order to get back to your regularly published articles, you'll need to switch this drop-down back to either Published to show you just the published articles, or to Select Status, which will show you published, unpublished, and archived articles, all here in a list. So there we go. Now we have, in fact, deleted the Trash Me article. One final point to be sure to remember. Just because you trash an article does not mean that its menu link is also trashed. It's possible to trash an article and still have a menu link out there that tries to link to an article that no longer exists. So when you're deleting things from your website, I recommend that instead of following the CAM, categories, articles, and menus, you go in reversed order and do the MAC, starting with menus, then articles, and then categories. So delete all your menu items first, then delete your articles, and then delete your categories. And by working backwards from CAM to MAC, then you can be sure that you've gotten rid of any stray links on your website that might cause usability problems and people wondering why they can't get to any of the information on your website.